Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. And there is a ton of stuff happening in the market this week, even though overall the market is a lot slower than it has been. But because of the release of Strixhaven and Commander 2021, there is activity around a number of cards. Now, we're not going to be talking about the new cards and their values yet since they just came out, but there are a lot of cards across the secondary market that these cards are impacting. Many Commander players are trying to build around new cards. They're also trying to pick up upgrades for those Commander 2021 decks. We'll get into all the details in just a second. Quickly, though, before we do, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use that Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order Modern Horizons 2 products there. They also have a whole lot of other things on their website. And remember, if your order is over $100 or it consists only of singles, shipping is free in the United States. And whenever you use that promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated. So thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. All right, we're going to begin with the Standard Legal Spotlight. This is where we look at cards that are Standard Legal that are moving the most this week. And because the market is slower, like I said in the opening, I was able to lower the threshold this week to $2. We're not going to look at anything that's moving less than $2 up or down. However, that didn't really add a whole lot to the standard section, and I do think it is because of a couple of reasons. One, we still don't know when Magic Fests are going to commence. It could be a while, and players are going to wait, especially since Strixhaven is now entering the format, and that's going to shake everything up. So I think everyone just wants to kind of see what happens with the meta and what happens to card values. So let's see what is going on here. First, we have some cards going down in value, starting with Grim Tutor from Starter 1999. It goes down $251 to $119.99. And of course, this has been losing value ever since it got reprinted in Core Set 2021. It is a tutor though, so you know it's going to see a good amount of Commander play. Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger from Theros Beyond Death. It goes down $290 this week to $32.76. Now, this did see standard play last season, but again, I think players are going to wait and see what happens. This does continue to see play in multiple other formats, though, aside from standard, Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. In Commander, it's even in some new decks like Exodus-Auric Overlord / Awaken the Blood Avatar. But this did get a reprint in one of the showcase Kjell Secret Layers. Brazen Borrower. This is the copy from the list, although it was removed from the list with Kjell. It goes down $323 this week to $29.03. This is an example of a highly played card last standard season in Teamer Ramp, Teamer Adventures, and more. Also gets a lot of play in other formats, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. And sadly, the only card going up in value in this section is one that is moving really because of market manipulation. This is Chulane, Teller of Tales, the copy from the list. This was also removed from the list with Kjell. In theory, if you look at the price tracking websites, it looks like this is going up something like $485.67 to $984.96. Basically, this card dried up in the secondary market online and somebody decided to have a little bit of fun. Clearly, it is not worth anywhere near this, but it is a very popular commander and it's in the 99 of some builds too. And that quickly takes us to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. Thoughtseize, the copy from Time Spiral Remastered. It goes down $234 to $32.50. This had a pretty high price point during the pre-release season, so it's not too surprising to see it lose value now. This gets a ton of play in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, even sees a little Vintage, and Commander play in old and new builds there. Next we have Shivan Dragon from 4th edition. This is just normalizing down after some recent spikes. It goes down $258 to $14.99. Although, there's another copy going up in value, which you're going to see in just a moment. This card does get a little bit of Commander play. Combustible Gearhulk. This is the copy from the list. It goes down $266 to $571. This one joined the list with Kjell. The reason it's going down in value, aside from the fact that it's been on the list for a couple sets now, is because it also got reprinted in the Lorehold Legacies Commander 2021 deck. Now, when it comes to playability, you could use this in Commander to build around the new legendary creatures from that deck, Oscar the Reconstructor and Alibu Ancient Witness. Also, this is seeing some additional play around some other new cards in Commander. Rionia Fire Dancer from the Prismari Performance Commander 2021 deck, and Hofri Ghostforge from Strixhaven. Next we have Read the Bones. This is the copy from Commander 2017. It spiked last week, but that spike was kind of unnatural due to the fact that this particular copy dried up in the online marketplace. This week it goes back down 341 to 139, but this is a pretty highly played commander card in a lot of different builds, old and new. This was even in a Felisa Fang of Silverquill build on game nights this week. Alright, let's look at some cards going up in value. This is Breeding Pool from Dissension, the original. It goes up 208 this week to 37.99. This is getting a reprint in the Culture Shock Bant Secret Lair. Nevertheless, this is still increasing in value at least a little bit this week. It is a Shockland, so you know it's going to see extensive play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. A Lend to the Dusk Rose from Rivals of Ixalan. It goes up 227 to 37.13. This just got added to the list with Strixhaven, as a matter of fact. It's a very solid Commander card. It's in a lot of popular builds like Alper Markov, Teysa Karlov. Now it is seeing more Commander play in builds around some new cards. Exodusoric Overlord from Strixhaven, Felisa Fang of Silverquill from Commander 2021. Some people may be picking this up as an upgrade too to the Silverquill Statement Commander 2021 deck. And this was another card in that Felisa Fang of Silverquill build on game nights this week. Monastery Mentor, the copy from Fate Reforged, goes up 247 to 2147. This does see some modern play and control builds and more. Gets a lot of legacy and vintage play too, but now the reason it's going up as much as it is this week is because of Commander. It is getting additional play around some new Strixhaven cards. They include Exodusoric Overlord again, Killian Ink Duelist, Velomachus Lorehold, and Quintorius Veiled Historian. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. This goes up 249 to 84.50. Lost a little value recently, rebounding slightly. This does see Pioneer play in Mono Green mid-range. In Modern, you'll find this in Tron builds. Legacy, it's in Cloud Post. Sees lots of Commander play too in Kozilek the Great Distortion, and much more. Sliver Hive goes up 309 to 31.95, and you'll find this one in Legacy Sliver builds. Also, of course, it's in those Commander Sliver decks too, which became very popular because recently Sliver Legion, as well as some other key slivers, were reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered. Alright, here's that Shivan Dragon that's going up in value. It is the copy from the Beatdown box set though, which is harder to find in good condition online. It jumps up 327 to 14.99. Alright, that brings us to the Modern Legal Spotlight, and in this section, again, you're going to see some market manipulation at the end when we're discussing cards going up in value. I'll point out the details in just a moment, but let's look at the cards going down first. First, we have Scrying Sheets, and this is the copy from the list that did join the list with Keldheim. And remember, Strixhaven set boosters are being cracked pretty heavily right now, so if these cards have stuck around for a couple sets on the list, they can soften up like this one. It's going down $6.76 this week to $25. This does see Commander play in decks running the Snow mechanic, and more players are engaging in that mechanic ever since Keldheim came out. Next we have Flusterstorm, the original from Commander. It goes down $6.95 to $28. This jumped up back when the Magecraft mechanic was previewed. People thought this could be a good answer to it, but now it is retracting a little bit, falling back into a normal price range. This does see a lot of play, though, in various builds, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Morophon the Boundless, another card from the list that is losing value. This one was also added with Keldheim. It goes down $9.35 to $25.65 this week. Very popular Commander. It's found in the 99 of some tribal builds like Dragons, and of course the very popular Sliver builds. Snapcaster Mage from Ultimate Masters is normalizing down after some recent increases. It goes down $10.46 to $61.95. Although another copy of the card is going up in value, you will see that later in the video. In Modern, this is in various control builds and more. Legacy, it's in Miracles builds and other decks there. Even see some Vintage play. But this is a great Commander card too, and it is seeing more play now in some new builds like Veyran Voice of Duality. That's from the Prismari Performance Commander 2021 deck. Some players are picking this up just as an upgrade for that deck in general. This is also in builds around a card from Strixhaven, Galazeth Prismari. Blood Moon from the Dark finally retracts a little bit after some huge spikes recently. It goes down $17.17 to $124.80. And there's other cards that have been going up in value a lot recently, retracting this week. So it does look like at least some of those cards are beginning to normalize a little bit. When it comes to this card, though, it sees play in Modern, Mono Red Aggro, Gruul Midrange, and more. Also gets Legacy and Commander play. And the last card going down in value is Cavern of Souls. This is the copy from the list that did join with Keldheim as well. It goes down $17.19 to $77.53. In Modern, you'll find this in Eldrazi Tron, Amulet Titan, and much more. Also gets Legacy and Vintage play, and it is a highly played Commander card in various builds. Life Gift. Okay, this card got really hot really quickly. It's yet to be reprinted, and it is showing up in some Commander deck lists around some new Strixhaven cards. And these builds have been pretty popular so far. They are Dina Soulsteeper and Beledros Witherbloom. This goes up 11.13 this week to 19.98. Vorinclex Voice of Hunger from the list. Now this joined with Kjell, but it left with Strixhaven, so it wasn't there very long. It goes up 11.36 to 66.98 this week. I do think some of that is inflation, though, due to the fact that it is drying up in the secondary market online. With that being said, though, it is a popular Commander card that is seeing increased play now in Beledros Witherbloom decks. Ren and 6 from the list. Now, this also left with Strixhaven, although it was around for 2 sets prior to that. This goes up 12.32 this week to 79.01. In Modern, this is in Niv Mizzet Reborn. It's also in Jund and more there. It's banned in Legacy, but it does see Vintage and Commander play. Okay, here's where we start to see some truly unnatural inflation. Cryptic Command, Modern Masters 2015 up 218 to 25.27, that's fine. The copy from the list, it goes up 35.69 though to 84.49. Obviously not really worth that. That is some pretty strong market manipulation. Now when it comes to gameplay though, it's in Modern Control builds. Also sees Commander play, and some players have picked this up as an upgrade to the Prismari Performance Commander 2021 deck. Others are building around Veyran Voice of Duality from scratch and picking up this card for that reason. Nissa Revain, again, more market manipulation here. Zendikar is moving up 226 to 15.38. In theory, the copy from the list is going up 85.22 to $100. Obviously, that is not truly the case. Now, this one was only on the list for one set, and that was Zendikar Rising. But still, it's not going to jump up like this unless somebody's manipulating the value. When it comes to gameplay, it does see Commander play in various Elves builds. And one more card that is moving because of manipulation. This is Denizen of the Deep, the copy from Portal Second Age. It dried up in the secondary market. Again, somebody decided to have a little fun. In theory, going up 198.17 to 204.36. Clearly, again, that is not the case. This card is barely worth anything. It does see a tad bit of Commander play, though. Alright, that's going to take us to the Vintage Spotlight. Again, there's a lot of things happening when it comes to those early sets, so we're not going to look at anything from Unlimited, Arabian Nights, Antiquities, and Legends, unless it's going up at least $100 and at least 10% today. I kept that in place this week, although maybe next week we'll be able to lift it. You're going to notice there's a lot less cards here. Things are calming down, but remember, when I say calming down, that's relative to the last 2 or 3 months. There's still a ton of activity overall here. First, we have Mana Crypt. This is the original media book promo giveaway. This goes up 38.20 to 399.99. Great vintage and Commander card in many builds. This is our first reserve list card of the day, as you can see from the top right-hand corner. This is Pyramids going up 162.22 to 522.98. Now, when it comes to true sales, high-grade raw copies are selling for about $290. High-grade graded copies can truly break around $1,100 now, though. So that price point is kind of in the middle, although it is leaning a little bit closer to the raw copies. Aladdin's Ring, the copy from Arabian Nights, goes up 369.19 to 371.25. When it comes to high-grade raw copies now, they can break 200 at times, which is a new development. That wasn't happening before. I haven't seen any graded copies of this sell, though, since the raw copies jumped. So I don't know if the next group of sales will reach 371.25. But the price will be higher than it was. Time Vault from Unlimited goes up 810.64 to 2,437.50. That value is kind of an average between high-grade raw and high-grade graded copies. Mox Pearl from Unlimited goes up $1,019.90 to 4,499.99. Again, this is a price that is in between high-grade raw and high-grade graded copies, although it is closer to the high-grade raw copies. And finally for this section, another card from Unlimited, it is Chaos Orb. This goes up $1,025 to $2,400 in theory. In reality, high-grade raw copies are selling for about $1,500, graded for about $1,760. Again, I feel like it's about time for high-grade graded copies to jump. Maybe not all the way up to $2,400, but I do think they're going to sell for more soon. And that takes us to the Commander Spotlight. A lot of cards to talk about, so let's just jump right into it. First, we have Pox from 5th edition. It goes up $2 to 18.58. This is found in Commander Turgrid God of Fright / Turgrid's Lantern builds and more. Zerilyn of the Claw. This also goes up $2 to 19.99. This gets a little Commander play. I suppose this could play in builds with Dragon's Approach from Strixhaven and Nullspine Dragon, which was hot last week. Defense of the Heart, the copy from Mystery Booster, goes up 207 to 1881. This sees a fair amount of commander play in various builds, including Korvold Fakehurst King. Mystical Tutor from Eternal Masters, up 207 to 2843. Highly played commander card. This is found in new builds too, like Elizeth Prismari and Veyron Voice of Duality. This also can be a good upgrade to the Prismari Performance Commander 2021 deck. Additionally, this got a Command Zone podcast mention this week too, which could have brought some attention to it. Stifle from Scourge, it goes up 209 to 2834. This gets some commander play in different decks, also gets a lot of legacy play many times in Delver builds and more there. Karlov of the Ghost Council, this is getting a Judge Foil printing this year, but the copy from Commander 2015 goes up 209 to 2949. This is a fairly popular commander, but it's also getting some play now in some new builds around cards from Commander 2021. Those are Felisa Fang of Silverquill and Brina the Demagogue. Actually, a lot of players might just be picking this up to upgrade the Silverquill Statement Commander 2021 deck. Bramble Sovereign, this goes up 211 to 2495. Some players are picking this up as an upgrade to the Quantum Quandrix Commander 2021 deck. Others are building around Adrix and Neb Twin Casters from scratch and grabbing the card for that endeavor. Beacon of Creation, keep an eye on this card. It goes up 212 this week to 856, but it is seeing a ton more commander play due to cards from Commander 2021 and Strixhaven. Some players are grabbing this to upgrade the Quantum Quandrix or the Witherbloom Witchcraft deck. Others are building around new cards from scratch, like Ruxa Patient Professor, Essex Fractal Bloom, Eudora Grave Gardener, those are all from Commander 2021, and some Strixhaven cards too, Blex Vexing Pest / Search for Blex, then Beladros Witherbloom. Song of the Dryads, this is the copy from Commander Anthology, it goes up 212 to 1609. This is actually on the list too, seeing increased play in commander builds around some new cards from Commander 2021, Eudora Grave Gardener, and Ruxa Patient Professor. Next is Tithe, also up 212 to 6111. This does get some commander play in various decks. Wirewood Lodge, this is the copy from Dual Decks Anthology, going up 218 this week to 1482. Great in elf tribal builds like Lathril Blade of the Elves. Show and Tell from Urza Saga, up 218 to 2547. This gets some commander play. Moving now this much though because of how well Omnitel and Sneak and Show are doing in this new legacy meta. Phyrexian Dreadnought from Mirage. This goes up 225 to 121.67. This is in various commander builds including Selvala Heart of the Wilds. Dark Confidant, the copy from Double Masters, goes up 239 to 33.75. This gets a good amount of commander play in various builds. In Modern you'll find this in the Rock and Morrissey's legacy play too. Blightsteel Colossus from Double Masters, up 240 to 49.05. Some players are getting this as an upgrade to the Lorehold Legacies Commander 2021 deck. This is also seeing increased play in the format around cards from that deck, Oscar the Reconstructor and Alibu Ancient Witness. This also sees vintage play too, of course. Winds of Change from 5th edition, up 242 to $23. This is seeing some additional commander play in Rionia Fire Dancer builds. It That Betrays, the copy from Rise of the Eldrazi. This is a popular commander card in Kozilek, the Great Distortion, and more. It goes up 246 to 2746. Desertion from 6th edition. It goes up 249 to 790. This is showing up in some Gelazeth Prismari commander builds. Tezzeret the Seeker. This is the copy from Dual Decks Elspeth versus Tezzeret. This one's only found in foil. It goes up 252 to 2260. Very popular commander card in Urza Lord High Artificer and much more. Now it is showing up in some Gelazeth Prismari builds too. Goblin Wizard, this goes up 253 to 203.99. This is in Krenko Mob Boss, sometimes in Commander and other builds too. City of Brass for Modern Masters, it goes up 260 to 39.95. Huge Commander mana based card. Also sees Modern play in Ad Nauseam, Legacy play in Dredge. All is Dust, the copy from Modern Masters 2015. It goes up 267 to 1540. This is getting a reprint in the Showcase Strixhaven Secret Lair, but nevertheless, this copy is still going up in value this week. It gets a ton of commander play. Now it is showing up in a new build, Cody Vociferous Codex. Also, it can be found in Modern Tron builds and Legacy Cloudpost. Land Tax, this is the copy from the Battle Royale box set. It goes up 274 to 39.99. This is a fantastic commander card in many decks, but it is showing up in some new builds like Extisoric Overlord, Brina the Demagogue, Mila Crafty Companion / Luca Wayward Bonder. This was also in the Felisa Fang of Silverquill build on game nights this week too. Repercussion, this goes up 279 to 34.99. It does see some commander play, but It was in a Tolarian Community College video this week as part of a Commander combo. The other card was Blasphemous Act. Carpet of Flowers, the copy from Mystery Booster, up $2.83 to $30.31. This gets a good amount of play in Commander, also sees a lot of play in Legacy. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, this is the copy from Iconic Masters. It goes up $2.95 to $44.62. Fairly popular Commander and found in other builds like Kali of the Vast and more. This is also getting increased play in deck lists around a Strixhaven card, and again, that card is Mila, Crafty Companion. Additionally, this got a Command Zone mention this week as a card you might want to play with Devastating Memory. Chain of Smog, this goes up $2.98 to $17.67. This combos with Professor Onyx from Strixhaven in a variety of builds, old and new in Commander. New builds, though, include Dina Soulsteeper, Beladros Witherbloom, Extesoric Overlord. This also can show up sometimes in Legacy Sultai Delver. Cabal Coffers from Plane Chase up $3 to $150. Although I think if I took the prices at the exact same time I took them last week, this one would have fallen off. I think it is pretty even now. This, though, is another really popular Commander card. It is getting more play now in Beladros Witherbloom and Extesoric Overlord. Also, this is played with Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, which was recently reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered. Beyond all that, this was another card in that Felisa Fang of Silverquill build on game nights this week. Birds of Paradise, the 4th edition copy, creeping up $305 to $28.46. Huge Commander card in a whole bunch of different decks, old and new. Also sees a ton of Modern and Legacy play. Edgar Markov, only found in foil. It goes up $306 to $69.32. This really needs a reprint. Extremely popular Commander in the format. Tariel, Reckoner of Souls. This is the copy from Commander Anthology. It goes up $307 this week to $997. Fairly popular Commander and found in other builds like Kali of the Vast. The original Food Chain from Mercadian Masks. This goes up $312 to $73.26. This is currently on the list, though. It's a big Commander card and combo enabler in the format. Legacy, you'll find this in Food Chain decks too, of course. Here's a copy of Snapcaster Mage going up in value this week. Modern Masters 2017 jumps up $315 to $66.99. Wormcoil Engine. Now this would be a good upgrade to the Lorehold Legacy's Commander 2021 deck, but regardless, it is seeing a lot of play in new decks too. A couple built around cards from that deck, Oscar the Reconstructor and Alibu Ancient Witness. Also, you might find this in builds around Hofri Ghostforge from Strixhaven. This gets modern play too in Tron builds and more. Shows up in Vintage as well. Double Masters goes up $216 this week to $24.99. Commander 2014 up $306 to $25. Commander Anthology Volume 2 goes up $339 to $26.65. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre from Ultimate Masters. This goes up $340 this week to $79.80. This is in Commander Kozilek the Great Distortion builds and more. Brain Geyser from Revised. It goes up $344 to $58.97. This is seeing a little more Commander play now in Gelazeth Prismari builds. Life from the Loam, the original copy from Ravnica, City of Guilds. It goes up $348 to $18.98. Pretty popular Commander card in the Gitrog monster and more. In Modern, you'll find this in Dredge. Also, this gets a lot of Legacy and some Vintage play. Dust Bowl, this is the copy from Mercadian Masks. It goes up $350 to $17.12. This does get some Commander play in various builds in the format. Masticore from Urza's Destiny. This goes up $364 to $39.98. This does see a little Commander play, but probably moving mostly because it is on the reserve list and it is drying up a little bit in the secondary market online. Doubling Season. You know this is a huge Commander card. It's in Atraxa Praetor's Voice and so many more decks in the format, including a bunch of new decks like Beladros Witherbloom from Strixhaven. Also a number of cards from Commander 2021. Adrix and Nev Twincasters. X6 Fractal Bloom, Gaiom Master Chef. And if you don't want to build around those cards from scratch, you can always get this to upgrade the existing Commander 2021 decks Quantum Quandrix or Witherbloom Witchcraft. Battle Bond goes up $241 this week to $85.78. Double Masters goes up $253 to $89.49. And Ravnica, City of Guilds goes up $4 to $88.99. Overmaster, this is getting increased play in Commander due to that Magecraft mechanic. It goes up $411 this week to $19.99. You'll find this in a lot of new builds around both Strixhaven and Commander 2021 cards. These include Cody Vociferous Codex, Veyran Voice of Duality. As a matter of fact, this card was in one of those builds on game nights this week. It's also in builds around Ryona Fire Dancer, which is also from the Prismari Performance deck. And of course, a lot of people are just picking this up to upgrade that deck as well. Vidalcan Ori, the copy from Conspiracy, goes up 411 to 47.99. Highly played commander card, showing up now in Beladros Witherbloom decks. This was in a Jadzi Oracle of Arcavios deck on game nights this week too. Doubling Cube, this does see a fair amount of commander play. 5th Dawn goes up $281 to $30. 10th Edition goes up $415 to $36.15. Squandered Resources, this is another card that does see commander play in the Gitrog monster and more. Showing up in Beladros Witherbloom builds too now. It goes up $419 to $79.15. Goblin Welder, another good upgrade to the Lorehold Legacies Commander 2021 deck. Also, this is seeing play in new builds around cards from that deck, Oscar the Reconstructor and Alibu Ancient Witness again. In Legacy, this will show up many times in Painter's Grindstone builds. Commander Anthology Volume 2 goes up $205 to $9. Urza's Legacy goes up $4.20 to $19.99. Static Orb from 7th Edition up $429 to $32.99. This is in a number of commander builds, including Urza Lord High Artificer. Now it's in some new ones too, like Elizeth Prismari and Alibu Ancient Witness. Sisters of the Flame, this is the copy from the Dark, the original. It goes up $430 to $7. Gets a little bit of play in commander, but again, I think this is a situation where it's drying up online, and that's what's making the price go up. Horizon Canopy, the original from Future Sight, goes up $435 to $40. Solid Commander Land also sees a lot of modern play in Heliod Company and more. Also appears in Legacy builds too. Fountain of Youth from the Dark, of course, really moving this much because it is a card from the Dark, much like Sisters of the Flame. Both of those cards have been reprinted. You can get cheaper copies, but collectors are moving in on these originals. This goes up $446 to $18 this week. I will say, though, this does see a tad bit of commander play, and I have seen this in at least one deck list for Galazeth Prismari. Cloudstone Curio from Ravnica City of Guilds. It goes up $460 this week to $59.57. Solid commander card and combo enabler. This could be a decent upgrade to the Witherbloom Witchcraft Commander 2021 deck as well. I have seen this in builds around a couple cards from there. Eudora Grave Gardener and Gaio Master Chef. Thran Quarry from Urza Saga. This goes up $469 to $23.99. This is a solid commander card and creature-heavy multicolor builds like the popular Sliver decks. Academy Rector goes up $473 this week to $159.88. This is a great commander card in enchantment-heavy builds. Parallel Lives up $508 to $64.99, basically moving for all the reasons Doubling Season is moving, so I'll just leave it at that. Very, very popular commander card in old and new builds. Bloom Tender, this is the one from Eventide. It goes up $509 to $49.99. Gets a ton of commander play in a lot of different decks. I was thinking of using my one per video, but this did get reprinted in Mystery Booster, so I think this inflation is a little more natural. Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, the copy from Commander Anthology Volume 2, goes up $559 this week to $28.50. This particular one only comes in foil. This is a fairly popular commander, and it is seeing more play now in Mila Crafty Companion builds. Sapphire Medallion from Tempest, the original, it goes up $576 to $56.49. Obviously, this is in a lot of different commander decks, but now you can find this in Galazeth Prismari from Strixhaven, or Octavia Living Thesis from Commander 2021's Prismari Performance deck. Sword of Feast and Famine, the original from Meriden Besieged, it goes up $633 this week to $71.89. Highly played commander card, and I have seen this in a new build too. That build is around Velomachus Lorehold from Strixhaven. And this was in that Veyran Voice of Duality deck we saw in game nights this week too. Force of Will, highly played commander card and builds old and new, also a huge legacy and vintage card. Double Masters goes up $213 to $141.31. Eternal Masters goes up $665 to $135.98. Hatred up $7 in theory to $148.98, and I said this in the last couple videos, but I haven't seen high-grade raw copies selling for quite this high. They tend to sell for $80 to $110. We'll have to see what happens, though, if anybody decides to ever sell a high-grade graded copy. This typically isn't the type of card you get graded, at least not yet, but I'm sure at some point it will happen. Beyond all that, though, this started to get more commander play when it began to jump up in value and people started to notice the card and what it did. Turns out that it is a good card in a lot of different builds, including Lisa Shroud of Dusk. Now it's even showing up in a new build around a Strixhaven card, Killian Ink Duelist. Escape Shapeshifter, again mostly moving because it's on the reserve list. It can see a tad bit of commander play. It goes up $718 this week to $17.98. Mycosynthelatus, another card you might want to keep your eye on. This is a good upgrade to the Lorehold Legacies Commander 2021 deck. Also, it's in some new builds around cards from that deck. Elibu, Ancient Witness, and Oscar the Reconstructor. Also seeing this show up in Galazeth Prismari decks. On top of all that, though, this was in a Tolarian Community College video as well this week, as a card that would combo in Commander with things like Karn the Great Creator and Hellkite Tyrant. Other players might recognize this as a card that sees a good amount of legacy and vintage play. Battle Bond goes up 578 this week to 4812. Dark Steel up 765 to 4548. Metal Worker up 802 to 194.62. If you had a lot of money to burn, I guess you could pick this up as an upgrade to the Lorehold Legacies Commander 2021 deck. That's a lot of money to spend on that, though. Although I have seen people putting this in builds around cards from that deck. Elibu, Ancient Witness, and Oscar the Reconstructor. Steely Resolve. This goes up 859 to 27.99. This is great in Commander tribal builds that include green. Remember, Commander Sliver decks include green. I do think that's part of the reason this has been going up as quickly as it has recently. But this is another one of those cards that I feel like when it began to increase, people might have noticed it for the first time and realized that this could fit into a number of their decks. Soul Echo, another card that sees a tad bit of Commander play, but most likely moving because it is on the reserve list. It goes up 896 this week to 1998. Necropotence, of course, this does see vintage play in Doomsday and more, but it is a huge Commander card in various builds, showing up now in Beledros Witherbloom as well. Eternal Masters goes up $281 to $60.43. Iconic Masters goes up $308 to $57.96. And Deck Masters, Garfield vs. Finkel, that copy only comes in foil. It goes up $937 to $158.74. Phyrexian Devourer, this goes up $980 to $37.69, and this one is not just moving because it's on the reserve list, although that's most likely the reason it's moving as much as it is. This is truly showing up in some builds around cards from Commander 2021, since it does combo with them. Those cards are Lelia the Blade Reforged from Lorehold Legacies, and Felisa Fang of Silverquill from Silverquill Statement. This could also be a good upgrade for either of those decks. Preacher's back again, going up $12.41 to $170.45. I will say, though, that is an average price between high-grade raw copies and high-grade graded copies. Now, you might look at this and say, okay, it's on the reserve list, it's in the dark, collectors are probably just getting this because they want to get it in their collection and have it graded, but I have seen this in some new Commander builds, including Hofri Ghostforge and Extus Auric Overlord. And finally from this section, another card that really could use a reprint, Norwood Priestess. This jumps up in theory 3607 to 118.74 this week, and I do think this is a case of the cards just drying up in the marketplace. All the reasonable price copies of the cards are gone right now. When you look at what people have been paying for it, raw copies have been selling for $70 to $80. Again, not the type of cards you typically get graded, so I haven't seen any graded copies sell recently, however. Now with that being said, this does get a little bit of Commander play in various builds. Alright, that's going to take us to the premium spotlight. There's still a lot of market manipulation out there when it comes to premium cards, but since we have talked a lot about market manipulation in the video so far, I thought I would pick 3 cards that are not being manipulated to any real severe degree, but instead are cards that we haven't talked about elsewhere in the video, but I still think they're important cards. The first one is Spellweaver Helix. This is the foil copy for Mirrodin, going up $11.09 to $59.99, at least in theory. I haven't seen a lot of sales for this card. The highest one seemed to be about $16, $17. But again, there are so few copies and so few sales. I do feel like when sales pick up again, they will be for more than $16, $17. This is showing up in various Commander deck lists now with Throwing Stone, and that new card from Strixhaven that lets you put any amount of copies in your Commander deck, Dragon's Approach. Essence Warden. Now this might look like market manipulation, but hear me out on this one. This is the only foil copy of the card. It's from Planar Chaos. It goes up $137.46 to $158.62 in theory. Now, when you look at true sales recently, these have been selling closer to $60, but they really have dried up in the marketplace. It is difficult to find a copy of this for anywhere near $60 anymore, and I think those days might be over. I don't know if this gets up to $160 anytime soon, probably not, but this is seeing a lot more play in Commander around some new cards. Beledros Witherbloom and Dina Soulsteeper from Strixhaven, and also Willow Dusk Essenseer from the Witherbloom Witchcraft Commander 2021 deck. This could also be a good upgrade to that deck in general, and it does see some modern play too. Mox Diamond from the Vault Relics. This goes up $146.50 to $1,282.50. That price point is an average again between high-grade raw and high-grade graded copies, however. This sees play in Legacy lands and other decks there, and gets a good amount of Commander play in various builds, including Urza Lord High Artificer. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode of the Market Watch. Next week, I have some things going on. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like yet. Not sure if I can get that Wednesday video with the top 10 hot cards out or not. And I'm not even sure if I can get next week's Market Watch out. I'm hoping to, but I'm not sure, at least not yet. So if there are no episodes next week, I will definitely be back the week after. But hopefully I will see you next week. Until next time, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon and have a great day.